Welcome back to Next Gen Investing. It's now time to discuss the behemoth of the overall tech trade. That is all things Nvidia, which is down about 2.4% on the session today. Although with a extremely optimistic call from Dan Ives saying that we're going to be in the summer of $4 trillion market caps, as Nvidia does still lead the pack as far as its market cap right now. So joining us to discuss more is Diane King Hall, the host of Morning Movers. So Diane, this is a great note. I mean, I always love a bullish shake on a day when we're lower because you need some optimism, but $4 trillion. It felt like we hit 1 trillion fast, but 4 trillion, hypothetically speaking, has felt even faster.
I know. I want to say to Dan, I want to pick up the phone and call him and say, why stop at 4? Why not 5 here for Nvidia? Because look, to be fair, Nvidia is at 3.76 trillion or thereabouts right now. So 4 is not that far away when you consider where it is currently. And it's had quite the run, especially when we think about where we were back in April. Off a little bit today. But again, we have some broader weakness as investors do a reset at the beginning of a new month. But the bulls may not have the reins for the day, but the view from Wedbush is, quote, our bullish view is that investors are still underestimating the tidal wave of growth on the horizon from the $2 trillion of spending over the next 3 years coming from enterprise and government spending around AI technology and use cases. They also say this, quote, in our opinion, after a relatively strong few months navigating tariff and geopolitical storms, now tech stocks are poised to see another 10% plus move higher in the second half of 2025, led by the tech winners in this golden age for the tech world. So Dan has been tweeting about this or posting, however you call it nowadays, on social media today. So seeing some more momentum to come with Nvidia. And so, he talks about Nvidia in terms of it being a key play. He talked about Microsoft as well, but Nvidia, he calls it the foundation for the AI revolution. The only game in town from an AI chip perspective, driving enterprise AI adoption and infrastructure, just when we think about the build outs around there. And he's often called Jensen Huang the godfather of AI. Some argue that title belongs to someone else, but we won't split hairs on that one. Jensen is certainly a front runner in this space. He talked about his unmatched insight into current and future AI demand. And obviously the future demand is what matters the most when it comes to getting to $4 trillion or beyond that. He expects both Nvidia and Microsoft to join that club, essentially create a new club this summer, fueled by the momentum and just overall spending we're seeing, the capex that we're seeing right now. And then he just expects this overall multiplier effect across tech. For every dollar spent on Nvidia, he estimates there's an $8 to $10 impact across the broader tech ecosystem. And whether we're talking about hyperscalers, cybersecurity, software, internet platforms, etc. Guys.
Diane, when you speak to others, is it the same sentiment? Maybe not as outwardly bullish as at Dan Ives, but outside of maybe Broadcom, I mean, it doesn't seem like there is an alternative to exposure to an Nvidia right now if you want exposure to this space. You mentioned Microsoft. I mean, Apple basically threw in the towel yesterday. Alphabet's basically thrown in the towel as well in terms of those projects. Tesla's got its own things it's working on, but it's got its other struggles as well. It really does kind of feel like Nvidia is the only game in town. Is that the same sentiment you're hearing from others?
Not necessarily that's the only game in town, but it is the leader and so much the front runner. That's what I'm hearing when I talk to different analysts who are, bullish on Nvidia. It's just because of their clear positioning within the space. And, one of the phrases I heard today, it being the heavyweight in the category. So it's got such a clear lead and so much command, essentially the Goliath in that space. Now, we know what happened with Goliath, so maybe eventually there will be a David that takes down Goliath, but so far that does not seem to be a concern, considering how many view this as still the early innings when it comes to AI and Gen AI and even Agent AI and build out there. So again, when we think about the hyperscalers in the space and just, for instance, like AWS or Google Cloud, they see them benefiting from the growth of Nvidia. So it just, the rising tide lifts all boats in this space, but Nvidia, the front runner. And Dan sees this as, look, the tech bull market still, again, in his point of view, in the earlier innings. He sees this push for $4 trillion, and who knows, maybe we'll have a conversation with him soon about the next milestone after that. Alex and Jenny.
I know, I've got to applaud him for the fact that even in spite of all the negativity, he was still, I mean, the tried and true bull in the overall tech space. So he was seemingly right, because NVIDIA is a freight train that you do not want to get in front of when it starts moving with momentum. So I appreciate that wonderful insight. Diane King Hall, as always, the host of Morning Movers.